I'm going to bring up my screen so that we will start immediately. I'm going to bring up my screen now. Okay. My screen should be coming up shortly. Fantastic, amazing. So like I mentioned, we'll be discussing on career pathways in cybersecurity for non-technical degree holders. So before now, have you been thinking that cybersecurity is just secluded for a certain group of people, or maybe it's just meant for people that have technical abilities? Today, we are here to demystify that exact thought so that you get to understand that cybersecurity can also be available for you, right? If you have knowledge in banking, if you have knowledge in analysis, you have knowledge in communication, there is a particular area in cybersecurity that you can comfortably participate through and be able to, transition through that exact area. But before we dive right into this exact discussion, I would love to know you and where you are joining us from. Okay. So before we start discussing about the career pathways in cybersecurity, I'd love to first of all know you and also get to know where you are joining us from. So just simply, type in the chat box, Chukwemeka joining from UK, Chukwemeka joining from Nigeria, Chukwemeka US, anywhere part of the country that you are joining us. Simply put your name and then the country that you are joining us from so that we'll get to know each other. Okay, let's quickly do that within the couple of seconds. Okay. Hi guys, I can't see any chat. Okay, I can see okay, what bong dropped. I can see, okay, I can hear you. I can't see people dropping their location yet. Are we not excited to be here today? Okay, we have over 25 people on the call. Nobody's interacting with me. So I'm going to start calling names, right? Okay, I've seen Victor. Victor has dropped his comment. Victor from Canada. Fantastic. So let's keep it coming, guys, so that we all get to, interact, network, and get to know where each other is joining us from. Okay, so what sessions like this also promise to offer is the networking ability for each one that is here, right? So it gives you the opportunity to also interact with people from the all vast economy and be able to hear and interact with them and get to understand how they see things also. So we have Benga from Ibadan, we have Victor from Canada, Precious from Nigeria, Faith from Nigeria, Laurie from Calgary, Chisom from Nigeria, Lydia from Toronto. Amazing. So we can see that we have people joining us from Africa, joining us from Europe. We have people joining us from several countries. And that's one thing that sessions like this promise to offer. Okay. While we're waiting for others to join us, I would love to also know if today is the first time you are joining any of our calls. All right. Is today the first time you are joining of our session so that it will help us to know how we are going to approach this discussion today. Okay, so if today is the first time, just type in a 1. If you've been on initial sessions that I've organized before now, can type in any number as your spirit leads. But I'd love to get that interaction so that we will know the people that we have. Okay, we'll have Matt from DB, okay, confused where that is. We'll have iPhone from Nigeria, Port Harcourt, Shane from Nigeria. Okay, we'll have a couple of first timers. We'll have Laurie today is obviously not your first time. Okay, so every other person today is the first time. Then Chisom also today is not her or his own first time. Okay, fantastic. So we'll have enough people on the call to start off this discussion, right? But before we dive right into it, we are already diving into it straight up. So I would love to also know what you want to take out from this session. All right. So with me on this call is a fantastic cybersecurity expert who has been in this exact roadmap for the over a decade right now. So he will be discussing these exact technical, non-technical areas with us so that we also get to understand all these things. But I want to hear from you, what other thing would you love to take out of this session? That, okay, by the end of this session, this is what you want to say, this is what I learned. by the end of the session, this is what you want to say. Okay, I'm comfortable knowing this right now. So just walk me just with a couple of sentences, maybe one sentence, 2 lines, 3 lines. Tell me what you want to take out from this session, okay? Because I am here to speak with you. Peter is also here, so we all get to interact and know what each other wants. Okay, so please let's keep it coming, all right? Hi, Peter, please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right, amazing, amazing. Okay, guys, so please, I would love to know what you want to take out from this session. All right, before I bring up my screen again. Okay, let's just drop it in the chat box. This is what I want to learn. This is what I want to take out from the session. So that at the end of the session, you can comfortably say, I learned this from this exact session that I attended at 10 Analytics. Okay. Okay, I can see a comment by Prince. Prince said job route. Fantastic. So to Prince, the only thing that he wants to grasp from this exact session is about job routes. And definitely we are going to talk about it tonight. All right. So others, are you guys here? This place is too cold. This place is too cold. I mean, it's very, very cold, and my sessions are not this cold. So I need you to communicate with me so that we can easily kick off the entire discussion. I need you to talk to me so that you also be able to direct me through the parts we are going to walk through. Okay. It's when you converse with me, when I give to you and you give back to me, we can now be able to have a meaningful discussion. Okay. Okay. I can see a couple of comments also from Laurie said employability in cybersecurity. Yemi is talking about what cybersecurity is all about. Fantastic. So these are things that I'm looking out for. So for someone like Yemi, it means that we have to start off from the initial aspect of what exactly cybersecurity is all about. Okay, before we now start climbing into the exact routes, there's the job applicability that we have from cybersecurity. So, which is why I love people giving me what they want to take us from sessions so that it will help to guide our discussion for tonight. Okay. So we have Matthew. Matthew said pathways for an entry level position. Fantastic. Precious said blend of career as a lawyer and cybersecurity expert. So these are things that I would love to see. Okay, so as a lawyer, obviously you are coming from an area of non-technical ability. So we are going to also walk you through how you can be able to, use your skill as a lawyer inside cybersecurity. Okay, these are things that we are going to be discussing here tonight. And Chisholm is talking after this session, I will be able to know between cybersecurity and data analytics, which I should go for. Fantastic. So maybe before now, so it means that maybe you've been in our data analytics classes, right? Or that we all had. So tonight, we're also going to make you understand what cybersecurity is all about so that you can get to make your choice on where you want to transition through. And Blessing said, I want to get knowledge on cybersecurity. Fantastic. So we all have genuine important reasons for being here. So tonight, just work with me and we are going to be dropping nuggets. Trust me, the person we have on the call tonight, Peter. Peter is an amazing person. I'm going to introduce him shortly so that we get to know the caliber of person that we brought here to speak for us today. Before we dive right into it, right? Before we dive right into that area, who are we? Who exactly? When Analytics, what comes to your mind, right? So basically, Analytics, we are an educational technology company that helps Africa, the Black community, to get into the tech space, right? So we help the Blacks to get into the tech ecosystem by lowering the entry barrier into technology, right? So what this means is that if you do not have any initial technical expertise, we are here to guide you from that ground zero to the expert level. And how do we do this? Is by making use of case studies to teach our classes, by making use of practical experimental case studies, real life case studies that is going to help you understand the exact course that we are discussing. So it's not like your regular classroom where you come into classroom and going to be here, okay, what is cybersecurity? What is this? What is that? we are going to walk you through the theoretical and the technical expertise for you to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing on the job. Because everything that we do here at Analytics is to help you land a job, which is our main goal as a company. Now, we play in several areas like data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, Scrum, and of course, cybersecurity, which is why we are here tonight. Okay? And we have our facilitators come from amazing companies like KPMG, Sahara, Google, Coca-Cola, and we also have our students work in these amazing companies, right? So what it means is that you are going to be hearing from real experts in the industry that are going to come into the classroom and speak to you in the exact language that you are going to understand. And after your classes, this is also going to help you land a job because we use a structured approach and which makes it very, very practical to make sure that you get the optimal value that you desire. So I've said personally, I am Chuku Emeka, right? And about me, I'm the GRC expert with close to a decade experience in this exact space. That's governance, risk, and compliance. And currently, I am the COO of Tenalytics. Personally, I've helped close to 500 people to transition into the tech ecosystem, people without initial technical expertise, right? And my experience spans across GRC in the banking sector, head of control in a fintech, data analyst in a fintech, and of course, a hospitality consultant. So I've worked in the financial service, I've worked in the capital markets, I've worked in hospitality sector, and presently I'm in the educational technology company. Currently, I am in Nigeria. And with me tonight, no other person than our amazing facilitator, right? So we are going to be hearing from Peter. Peter, I don't know if you want to say hi to the people before I introduce you. Hello, Peter, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for wanting me to say a hi. So welcome,
All
people. We
right.
are going to be talking more. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. So Peter is a cybersecurity expert with more than a decade experience in IT risk penetration testing, digital forensic and fraud investigation, data protection, and compliance. So personally, Peter serves as a mentor and a coach, and I've helped more than 1,000 people with no technical background to transition into the tech system. Please confirm that you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
We can hear
fantastic.
you.
With no technical expertise to transition into cybersecurity, and his own experience spans across training and development. So when you hear Peter speak, you know that he mastered this exact concept of training and development, and he's also a cybersecurity and IT researcher, and of course cybersecurity operations. And he's a CSOC and data protection trainer for over 10 government parastatals. So he is a member of Cybersecurity Nigeria and also a consultant for the Center for Cyberspace Studies and SOC, Syslink Nigeria Limited, and also an expert trainer for Cyberspace Foundation. So you can connect with all of us on LinkedIn. You can connect with me at Peter Ode. You can connect with me, Chukwemeka Iba. You can connect with us across the social space entirely. So tonight, what exactly are we going to be doing? Okay, so I've heard from you guys, put in a couple of things in the chat box, and I'm going to try to drive that discussion from everything that we have mentioned. So first off, we are going to be understanding what cybersecurity is all about, okay? Because some people have said, I do not know what cybersecurity is. So we're going to walk you through what cybersecurity is all about, everything that exists inside cybersecurity, and then we'll walk you through the career pathways for non-technical degree holders, okay? Then number two, we'll now dive right into the pathway to becoming a cybersecurity expert. How do you get to work from being a lawyer to becoming a cybersecurity person? How do you want to transition from being a banker to a cybersecurity person? So we are going to tell you all those things tonight. And of course, we'll talk to you about our upcoming cohorts that is starting on July 6th of June this year, and also talk to you about the success stories we've had, the growth internship program, and of course, you will have a discount by virtue of you being on this call. So at this junction, I'll be calling on Peter to speak to us in the language that we are going to easily understand. Hi, Peter, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Chukwuemeka. So I know Chukwuemeka have told us a lot about cybersecurity, and that has been our watchword while we are here, cybersecurity, cybersecurity. But before we move into, dissecting what cybersecurity is and how it can be related to, your whatever job role you are doing or whatever degree you are holding, before we do that, we want to, throw a little more light on what, cybersecurity is actually providing security for, right? And that is the cyberspace. So the cyberspace is an environment where networks operate, right? Now, as an environment where network operates, we believe that network must not be only limited to, computer devices or electronic gadgets, right? So the cyberspace is just like, the opposite of our physical space. But in another word, even the physical space, we are seeing your earth, your land, your sea, the air, the space itself, all encompassed to form what we call the cyberspace, right? So it is actually a kind of, an all-encompassing kind of space that has every other type of, operational space of human beings, coming together to form it, right? So initially we used to have, they will tell you that we have four, world spaces, which are the land, the sea, the air, and the space itself, right? But today we have the fifth world space, which is the cyberspace, right? So all the things that can happen in the four world spaces can also happen in the fifth world space, which is the cyberspace. So in as much as you are a person operating on any of the spaces before today, right? You operate, or there's the possibility of you operating in the cyberspace. And so the cyberspace is actually, that space that allows everything that happens in our physical space to actually work, right? So let's get that, first of all, the cyberspace, the concept of the cyberspace. So it is an all-encompassing form of space that allows everything that we do in every other space to work. So therefore, if you do any other, or you are into any other field in life, you can actually still work in the cyberspace, right? So now, after that, we move to understanding what cybersecurity is. And, since I've explained to us what cyberspace is, definitely you know that the cybersecurity now is, coming up with security strategies or countermeasures on your operations, right? The operations that are being carried out on the cyberspace. So that is what cybersecurity is. So, and if cybersecurity is this, then you should know that anybody that tells you that, okay, you must be a technical person before you can, feature in cybersecurity, that is a myth, that is not true. Is that okay? So the fact that you can come up with a countermeasure, or you can come up with a strategy, whether it is a document, whatever it is, whether it's a policy, whether it's a law, in as much as you can come up with those things that will help, the operations that happens in the cyberspace, it means you can actually fit into cyber security, right? So there are actually several careers, several categories of careers in the cyberspace, right? That we always look at in the cyberspace. Remember, I have told us that cybersecurity are the controls or countermeasures, right, that are put in place to enable you successfully carry out activities in the cyberspace. We are going to be looking, more in depth on that while we move ahead, right? But first of all, understand that there is a word referred to as the cyberspace. And if that world, you operate in that world, for the fact that you use a digital device, for the fact that you use a phone, for the fact that you're a human being, it means you are operating in that world. And whatever you can put in place to ensure that, okay, you are being protected, right, while you are using this world, or protecting people while you are using this world, it means you are doing cyber security. right? So these are actually most of the threats that, happens around the cyberspace, that in as much as you can come up with any ideology on how to mitigate this or how to, prevent people from, falling prey to this, it means you can operate in the cyberspace, right? It means you can operate in the cyberspace. So whether it is policies you are coming up with, whether it is frameworks that you want to come up with, whether it is regulations that you want to come up with, whether it is laws that you want to come up with, whatever it is, whether you want to educate people just like what we are doing now, whether that is what you want to come up with, it means you can actually fit in the cyberspace. So you mustn't be that technical, in quote. It mustn't be that you must be a technical person, for you to, come and play in the cyber security space or in the cyberspace, right? So we have different types of, threats that people are exposed to. Our devices are exposed to, just like we can see now, right? So, and if this threat, for instance, if I say, okay, ransomware attack, right? That is a threat. Now, a ransomware is synonymous to kidnapping. We all know what kidnapping is, when somebody kidnaps you and demands for, ransom, right? Now, in the cyberspace, we refer to it as ransomware. Somebody can kidnap a device and demand for ransom, or kidnap your network, or kidnap a file and demand for ransom. So we call that ransomware attack. So if you as a person can, come up with a policy, physically, that will guide against people being kidnapped, it means you can also come up with a policy, in the cyberspace for people, so that their systems or their data or their files would also not be kidnapped, right? So these are how you relate what we do in the cyberspace with what we do in our physical spaces, right? So what is cybersecurity? I've said this before now, that it is the practice of protecting systems, network, and data from digital attacks. Now, I don't want us to limit it to these definitions that we have seen here, because I have been able to explain what the cyberspace is to us, right? And let me say this, this is a quote now, so you can take it down. Your level of understanding of cybersecurity is dependent on your level of understanding of the cyberspace. So what you understand the cyberspace to be to you is what determines how good you can be a cybersecurity person, right? So it determines how well you understand cybersecurity. The more you elaborate or you expand your range of what the cyberspace is what determines the role you play as a cybersecurity personnel or as an expert in cybersecurity. So it is not just limited to protecting systems, network, and data, right? So you need to expand it a little. But practically, this is what you will see out there, right? But you need to expand it. If I decide that, okay, my cyberspace will have my children inside, right? But the fact that they make use of, household gadgets and people can, stalk them easily and maybe hack those devices, definitely I know that my children are part of the cyberspace now, right? And if I'm drawing out my protective mechanisms, I have to fathom them in. Is that okay? Right? So you need to expand, your knowledge of cybersecurity, right? And that is when you can easily, fit in or come up and say, okay, I have this, I'm playing this particular type of role in cybersecurity. I'm playing this particular type of role in cybersecurity, right? So you need to understand that. And the goal of cybersecurity is to ensure that, okay, all our details are held in confidence, right? Whatever data, whatever information you are putting out there, it's held in confidence, right? That is to say, it is unauthorized persons cannot have access to those information, right? So that is one of the goals of cybersecurity. They cannot have access to those information. Another goal is those information should be available to people that, have authorized access to them when needed, right? And then the third one is integrity, that ensures that data or information you are pushing out there, it's not modified, neither is it tampered with. So these are the three major things that cybersecurity is trying to achieve in the cyberspace. So I want us to look at, these things, separately, just as they are, right? I have been able to explain them in general perspective to us. If I am telling you something and I say, okay, don't tell this other person what I am saying, and you go and tell another person and you tell the person, don't tell this other person what I'm saying, at the end, you discover that that information must have been mutilated or must not have its original, information or its original meaning, right? Now, if that happens, confidentiality has been lost in that information, right? So cybersecurity has come to ensure that if I tell you, I give you an information and I tell you, don't tell the other person, it has come to ensure that it prevents you, from telling the other person. So it helps us achieve that confidentiality. And how does it do that? By implementing what we refer to as access control, right? Tokenization and masking, encryption. Now, all of these things are grammars, right? But I think the cheapest one that we can understand is access control, right? So cybersecurity implement things like, giving some information to people based on their access level, based on their trust level. So you don't give out all for any type of information, to any kind of person, right? So it ensures that it implements access control to ensure confidentiality. So on integrity, which it ensures that data or information is not modified. Understand what I am saying here is just English. I'm actually just speaking English, right? But I'll give us, a better understanding of all what I'm saying, right? So it does that by also using access control to ensure that information is not modified or, things you believe in, all the things you hold are of value to you are not modified, in an unauthorized way, right? And availability that those things you hold that are assets to you are made available to you when needed, right? So those are the three major things that cybersecurity is trying to achieve in the cyberspace, right? Trying to achieve confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And in all of these things that it's trying to achieve, you can come in, you can fit in because you can actually draw out a policy, just like Chukwuemeka is now. He's a GRC expert. GRC stands for governance, risks, and compliance. So what does he do? He can conduct maybe a risk assessment, for an organization and, advise that organization that, okay, based on this and that, you shouldn't do this, right? Come up with policies for them, try to see that they have guidelines and tries to ensure that, okay, it carries out maybe audits to ensure that, okay, these organizations, know what they are doing and they are compliant with what they are doing. They are meeting some standards and all of that. Now, all of those things do not need technical background. I believe even as a lawyer, you can conduct an audit. Even as an accountant, you can conduct audits, right? Even as a business person, you can even do an audit because you have the audit checkbooks there, right? Even as a business person, you know what is risks. You can conduct risk assessment. So in as much as you know that, okay, this thing, the goal of this thing is to ensure confidentiality. It means you will be tying your policies towards ensuring confidentiality, ensuring integrity, ensuring availability, right? So everybody can fit in. And we are going to be looking at those career roles that you can, fit in when you come into cybersecurity, those career roles that you can fit in. But before we look at that, let's look at these famous myths that we have always been hearing, right? So there's always this saying that you need a technical background to start cybersecurity. That is actually false because several persons, so many persons that I know of, in fact, the big boys in cybersecurity don't have the technical background, right? The technical backgrounds are meant for those people that, are inquisitive, right? I just want to get my hands busy. Those persons that, always like playing with stuff, those are the people that, the technical guys. But the big boys in cybersecurity are not the technical guys, are actually the managerial guys, right? Those guys that, sit to bring up policies and, look at perspective of how things should be done, right? So when somebody tells you that you need a technical background, it is actually not true, right? So they say cybersecurity is only about coding. Now, that is actually false because just like I have said, it is not only about coding because you don't need to code to draw out rules and regulations. Is that not so? You don't need to code to draw out rules and regulations, right? Then there's also this saying that certifications alone will get you a job. No, certifications alone will not get you a job, right? What you need to do is to know. You need to know some things. You need to know structures, how to structure a framework, how to come up with the rules, how to conduct your risk assessment, what an asset is, what a vulnerability is, what vulnerabilities are, what your threats are. Like we saw some threats, right? So you need to know all of these things, right? So not just getting certifications. You need to understand this. You need to network with people, right? You need to gain hands-on experience doing these things practically, drawing out frameworks practically, right? For you to get jobs, right? And there's also that saying that cybersecurity is only for young people. No, as a matter of fact, I have a professor that just moved into cybersecurity last year, and he's doing very well. A professor. I also have a dean, because I'm actually a lecturer in a university. So a dean in our PG school just moved into cybersecurity, right? She's actually a lawyer, an associate professor in that matter, right? But she has moved into cybersecurity, taking a course, a master's course in cybersecurity, and she's doing very well. So it is not actually meant for only young persons. Everybody fits in. In fact, for the older persons, it is actually one of the best retirement plans you can, give to yourself. So cybersecurity cuts across bounds, right? Now let's look at the career pathway for non-technical degree holders. So non-technical degree holders, whether you're a lawyer, whether you are a banker, whether you are, a business analyst, a politician, whoever you are, right? So let's look at, your pathways for you. Now, non-technical degree holders, you have numerous opportunity to build a successful, career in cybersecurity, right? Like I've been hitting on policies, management, communication, compliance, strength, obtaining relevance experiences. All of these things, will guide you, into becoming a non-technical holder cybersecurity expert, right? I know some of us that are here are even good in communicating more than those of us talking right now, right? So there are roles for you to fit in. There are roles for you to play when it comes to cybersecurity, right? So some of us are good in managing things too, right? So you can actually fall in. You can actually do a lot, right? So before we move into looking at that, there's actually, the two major rules that we find around cybersecurity, right? One of them is, the analyst, and then you have the vulnerability assessment and penetration testers, right? This is actually technical, right? This is actually technical. But when you move to the point where we have, the cybersecurity manager, you don't need any technical course. Or let me take it from this point. As a cybersecurity specialist, you don't need any technical, knowledge. As a cybersecurity analyst, you don't need technical knowledge. And as a cybersecurity manager, you actually don't need any technical knowledge. Now, cybersecurity analyst role cuts across, both the technical and the non-technical aspect. But what does an analyst do? So an analyst is somebody that looks at data and draw out inferences from that data, right? So you can actually conduct a risk assessment and you're an analyst, right? Likewise, somebody can, play along with data using some data analysis tool. Is also an analyst, right? And it's in a particular area, right? Is that okay? So all of these things are things you should know that you can actually do without becoming a technical person, right? But you need the knowledge of what a network is. Is that okay? You need the knowledge of what softwares are. You need the knowledge of what systems are, right? So all of these things are things that you definitely need to know, basically, not the technical knowledge, not technically now, right? But at least just knowing somebody is talking about a network, you should know that a network is a combination of two or more devices, right? Somebody is talking of a software, you should know what an application is, right? Just knowing it, you don't need to get your hands dirty on that, right? Now, let's also look at the roles in cybersecurity. These are the pathways that you can actually fit in, right? Please, if you can still hear me, can I see a thumb up? Just give me a thumbs up, please, if you can still hear me clearly. Thumbs up. Please confirm you can still hear me clearly. Okay, thank you. Okay, so these are actually some of the rules that you can fit in cybersecurity that does not need technical knowledge. Is that okay? So we have the cybersecurity project manager role. We have the cybersecurity policy analyst role. We have the cybersecurity compliance and risk analyst role. We have the cybersecurity awareness trainer role. We have the cybersecurity sales and marketing specialist. We have the cybersecurity incident response manager role, right? So we'll be looking at those roles, in details now, right? So if you look at them in details, for instance, when we talk of the cybersecurity policy analyst, there are those people that develop and analyze policies related to cybersecurity to ensure compliance with laws and regulations. Now, those of us in some countries, you definitely must have heard of things like HIPAA Acts in the US. You have heard of GDPR in the UK. You have heard of NDPR or NDPA in Nigeria. There are a lot of people that jump. I know people from biology that are auditors, right? Develop policies, analyze policies. As a matter of fact, the chairman of the committee that did the Nigerian cybersecurity what is it called? What is this thing? That policy document that policy and strategic document that came up, and even the people that reviewed the Cybercrime Act 2023 that was saying, okay, there should be some monies released, for cybersecurity levy. Those of us that are, close to Nigerian news, I know you must have heard of that. I want you to know that the person that was chairing that committee, his first degree is actually microbiology, right? The person that chaired that committee. So, but you see, he has built himself into, a policy developer, and he can actually, relate with, activities that happens around the cybersecurity, space, and then come up with, even if the policy has its own whatever or does not have, but at least they came up with something, right? He has been able to do that. Now, cybersecurity policy analyst roles are people that does things like that, right? So they look at several policies. They can look at policies from different parts of the world and, try to draft out something for a particular organization or for the country, right? So what are their key responsibilities? They research and draft cybersecurity policies and procedures. They analyze existing policy and recommend improvements. They work with government agencies, private sector partners, and other stakeholders. So you can see you can do a lot here, right? So what are the skill sets you require? You need a strong research and analytical skill set. You also need understanding of regulatory frameworks and excellent written and verbal communication skills. So you can never see anything like you need to know how to use an operating system here, right? You can never see, okay, you need to know how to code here, right? So just the understanding of frameworks, how to analyze frameworks. So if you have been doing this as a lawyer, it means you can actually become a cybersecurity policy analyst. If you have been doing this, coming up with frameworks as a medical doctor, as a nurse, definitely you know that, okay, you can fit into the role of cybersecurity policy analyst. And just like I told us, in cyberspace, whatever we feel we do, in the physical space can also be replicated in the cyberspace, right? So anything you feel you find yourself doing, even as a police officer, you can also come into the cyberspace and do cyber policing. So whatever it is you find yourself doing in the physical space, you can also do it in the cyberspace. We also have the cybersecurity compliance and risk analysts, right? What are their role overview? They ensure that an organization complies with cybersecurity regulations and standards, similar to what policy analysts do, right? And that is why, they always have that course, governance, risks, and compliance, because in that course, that is where, you find, all of, this type of, things, right? And, when you learn some of the content of the course, definitely you can fit into this role better, right? So what are their key responsibilities? They conduct assessments and audits, just like what I have told us before, right? Actually, you saw even in my profile that I told you I'm a data protection auditor, right? So what do? It's just for you to pick a data protection act, you understand, go through it, analyze it, take it to organizations, ensure that, okay, these organizations are meeting up with what that act or regulation is talking about, right? So in as much as they are meeting up to that, definitely you get paid for doing that. You get paid. I think in Nigeria, you can even charge for an audit for close to 8 to 9 million naira for audits, right? So you can actually do that. It's just for you to pick either any of the, depending on where you find yourself, look at, the regulations that are there or the acts that are there, go through them, try to write the organizations that you're coming to audit or to see, depending on how the structure in the organization is actually. Because for us in Nigeria, we have the data protection, bureau or commission rather, that is in charge of this. So they can give you license to go ahead and do that. So in every other part of the world, we have this, these bodies, right? There. So you can, fit into the role of a data protection auditor, right? Without any, technical background or knowledge. Yours is just following what is written in the audit, checklist, and then going to the organizations, right? So what you need as a skill, attention to detail, you need to be somebody that knows that he or she pays quite an attention to detail, right? Knowledge of compliance standards, and then strong organizational skill, risk management knowledge, right? So you need to know how to manage risk also, so that when you are advising the organization in trying to help them remediate, you will know what you are saying, right? We also have the incident response coordinator, right? So you are not the incident responder, but you can coordinate incidents. Is that not so? You might not be a first responder. You might not be the digital forensic expert in the team. You might not be the lawyer in the team or even as the lawyer in the team, because definitely if you are forming an incident response team, which is an IRT, team, you know of several IRTs, you have heard of them. So even if you are forming a team, definitely you know that you need to have a digital forensic expert. You need to have a first responder, maybe like the police, like people that should respond to the case at first or to the scene at first. You should have a lawyer. You should have a communicator. So in any of those roles, you can actually fall in, right? So you mustn't be the digital forensic expert that you go there to extract artifacts and then do analysis on them. But for the fact that you can coordinate people and make sure they do these things, right, can make you an incident response coordinator. It's actually a job role. Every organizations today have what we call a SAT. That's some people call it cybersecurity, some people call it computer emergency response team, right? So in most organizations, they operate that office, right? And in most countries, they also operate that office, right? The office of a SAT. In Nigeria, we call it the NG SAT. The US has its own SAT, right? So all organizations have their SATs, also a sub-SAT that reports to the bigger SATs, right? So all of these people that work in a SAT, there are also people that we refer to as incident response coordinators, because they are the ones that coordinate when there's an incident, right? So what do? They manage and respond to cybersecurity incidents and breaches, right? Their key roles are, coordinating response efforts among their teams, right? Communicate with stakeholders during and after incident, document incident, and create post-incident report, right? What are the skills, the particular skills they need? Strong organizational skill set, ability to work under pressure, excellent communication skill, understanding of incident response procedure. So you don't need any technical background. You don't need coding here, right? You don't need, softwares. You don't need to go and be learning Kali Linux and be learning every type of operating system, right? You don't need to go and be drawing networks here, right? But it's a job role that you can fit in. So we have the sales and marketing specialists, right? People that can promote cybersecurity products, right? Those of us that, are business persons here, business inclined persons here, we definitely know that, okay, you can go into cybersecurity sales and marketing, right? Whereby you go to organizations, you help them market their product, their cybersecurity product, their cybersecurity tools, you do copywriting for them, you do business strategies for them, on all whatnot, right? So promote and sell cybersecurity products and services. So those are what cybersecurity sales and marketing specialists do, or does rather. right? So key responsibility is to develop marketing strategies and campaigns, engage with potential clients and explain the benefit of cybersecurity solutions, conduct market research to identify trends and opportunities, right? So that is the rule, the job rules that they always have, right? Now, what are their skills? Strong sales and marketing skills, understanding of cybersecurity product, excellent communication and negotiation skills. So those of you that are into real estate, doing marketing, posting, several types of building and cars and all whatnot for people to buy, you can also market for organizations, right? Their product, cybersecurity products can also be marketed, right? Just making people know about that. Use your social media handle to promote those things. So, and you get paid for that, right? So you mustn't necessarily be a programmer. Is that okay? Then we have the cybersecurity project manager who oversees cybersecurity projects from inception to completion, right? So we have your key responsibilities to plan and manage cybersecurity project, coordinate with different teams and stakeholders, ensure projects are delivered on time and within budget, right? So you need your skill set, project management skill set, strong leadership and communication skill set, ability to manage multiple tasks, and familiarity with cybersecurity concepts. So if you know you key into this or you have these characteristics, then you know that, okay, I'm coming into cybersecurity, but I want to be or become a project manager in cybersecurity. As a matter of fact, I have a friend in the UK who has done his master's in cybersecurity, and what he does purely is project management. So he manage projects for different organizations. So if you go for a bid and you win the bid, what he does is to write to you to help you manage your project, even if you are paying in peanuts. But if he has several organizations where he manages their projects for them, definitely he gets what he wants, right? So we also have the awareness trainers, just like what I am doing now. I'm maybe creating an awareness to you, right? What Chukwemeka is doing now is creating an awareness to you, right? In this role alone, carrying out cybersecurity awareness trainings, you can earn a lot. I think my first role as a cybersecurity expert was in awareness training, right? I think I trained then, I think about 400 staffs in, those of us that are familiar with Nigeria, the Nigerian Communications Commission, that's NCC. So we trained 400 staffs. Then cybersecurity had not gained grounds like this, right? So when it was just coming up, they just say, okay, you people that are experts, come and train our staffs, right? So cybersecurity awareness training, people pay a lot for that. Organizations pay a lot for that, right? And today, we still have trainings, for organizations, right? We've trained for banks, done trainings for, awareness trainings now for banks, for organizations, for ministries, for agencies, and all whatnot, right? So there's also a role as that. So what do you need to do, right? What you just need to do is to educate people, especially employees, about cybersecurity best practices and the threats, develop training programs and materials. Those are your responsibilities. Conduct training sessions and workshops. Assess the effectiveness of training programs, right? Your skills. You need excellent presentation and communication skills, instructional design experience, knowledge of cybersecurity threats and mitigation strategies. So just the knowledge of these things can actually put food on your table. So when we are telling you to come into cybersecurity, we are not actually telling you to come and do maybe one technical stuff that is going to weigh you down or make you lose hope or make you lose passion for what you like doing, right? No, that is not what we are saying. We are actually telling you to come in so that you understand that the role you are playing in your organization, you can also play that role in the cyberspace and earn more money, for yourself while you are playing a double role. Because most times, most of the roles you play in the cyberspace are actually, remote based or remotely based, right? And as such, you can also, be doing the job you're doing and also, do cybersecurity as a remote job, right? So we have two actual, domains in cybersecurity, right? It's actually broken into two, the blue team and the red team. So one way you can do it, all of these things you are doing or we have seen that are non-technical roles, you can actually do it as an offender, right? In an offensive way, whereby you are helping a bad person or somebody that, can be termed to be a bad person, carry out these tasks, right? Or you can do it from a good way. For instance, if two countries are at war today, and your country is telling you to come and do an awareness training, right? So that your people will understand what to do that will cause harm to the other persons. How do you categorize yourself, right? So at one side, you're a blue teamer because you are trying to defend your country. But at the other side, you're a red teamer because you are offensive. You are trying to cause an offense to them. So these are the two major teams we have in cybersecurity. People that are doing things to defend the organization and people that are doing things to, offend the organization, right? So the job roles that mostly, fall in these two teams or in these two roles are job roles like security monitoring and incident response for the blue team now. We have vulnerability management, we have security operations, we have security architecture and design, identity and access management, endpoint security, network security, security awareness, and training. So you notice that almost all the things we have mentioned as roles for you now falls, most of them falls under the blue team. So you are trying to do this to, defend an organization. So you can call yourself a blue teamer. Is that okay? You can call yourself a blue teamer at the end when you have this. And somebody says, okay, what team are you in cybersecurity? You know that you're a blue teamer, right? Why those guys that, do things like penetration testing, social engineering, physical security testing, exploit development. Social engineering is when I try calling you and try duping you or try playing 419 with your mentality, right? That is social engineering. When somebody tries to defraud you, is an aspect of social engineering. So when you hear the word social engineering, it's not that you're going to be doing machines, right? Like engineers do, right? So when somebody uses psychology to psych you into giving out information that you're not supposed to give out, we refer to that as social engineering. We know a lot of them that are happening, right? So that is what social engineering is. But you see that, okay, now it's a non-technical cybersecurity because if you have the power to psych somebody, right, you can actually be a good social engineer. Now it is offensive, but it is non-technical. So you can also be an offensive, non-technical cybersecurity expert. Is that okay? So anytime you see something going on in an offensive manner, you know that, okay, this is actually, offensive cybersecurity or red teaming cybersecurity. Why, if you're doing to protect the organization, we look at it as blue teaming cybersecurity. Now, job outlook for cybersecurity, we all know, because this one, we don't need to even brag about it. We all know that there are over 400,000, jobs out there, over 1 million plus jobs out there, rather, for cybersecurity, right? With less than, by 2023, with less than 4,000 trained available cybersecurity experts. So most times the jobs are there, but there are no people to take up these jobs, right? And that is why an organization like this, right? So that it will make you understand what cybersecurity is, that it's not just limited to a technical, with you expecting somebody that is in the technical knowledge to go and start taking in management knowledge or in policy development knowledge, it makes the whole, space to lack staff, right? And that is why we have decided as an organization to come into training you to have the non-technical and push out for those job roles, right? So there are actually over, we'll be expecting over 3.5 million job openings by 2025 in cybersecurity. And so you see that, a lot of people are actually moving into it, right? So we have people in the medical field that are moving into cybersecurity. We have people, in the legal field that are moving into cybersecurity, in the business field that are moving into. In fact, we have civil engineers being trained now as cybersecurity experts because operational technology is one other aspect of the cyberspace that people are not looking into, and problems are coming up from those places, right? If you go to some countries, there are cars, self-driven, hacked, right? Who draws out policy if you don't come in? Is that okay? So that is why we have decided to come up to look at all of these things. There are also several cool jobs, for, both technical and non-technical guys, just like what we have seen initially. So digital forensic analyst, right? You just learn digital forensic steps, and follow an investigator, to field, penetration testing, reporting. Now, as a pen tester can carry out his penetration testing, but might not even know how to draw out his reports. So you can come in that, angle or aspect also, or reading and interpreting reports for pen testers. So we have SOC analysts, people that, man Cybersecurity Operations Center, just like you can see in my profile, you saw a CSOC analyst. So I've been doing CSOC for close to 8 years now, right? So why I call it CSOC, I don't want to limit it to Security Operations Center. So I always refer to it as Cybersecurity Operations Center, right? So I actually have a blend of several of this knowledge. Majorly, digital forensic investigation is what I do practically. Vulnerability assessment, I also do it practically, right? So if you invite me for vulnerability, we can do that practically, you understand? So you can cut across as many as the jobs that are available for you, right? To do, right? Cyber defense books, you can come up with, strategies on how to protect an organization, incident responders, security architects, security software developers, now these are the technical guys, right? So we are just giving you, an overall view. For those of you that wants to go into the technical, it is also meant for you. For those of you that don't want to go into the technical, you can also find your way around it. So we need to understand that cybersecurity has actually, open a space for everybody to fit in, right? Open a space for everybody to fit in. Now, I would have loved to show us some, some hands-on practical on some cybersecurity tools, but because we are looking at non-technical field, I don't want to, go into a lot of, things that will start getting us bored in the class, right? So we'll leave our hands on until when you are now fully with us. Then we now show you some, practical example of how these things are done. So for this practice, what I just want you to review at the end of this course, maybe at your leisure time, just go ahead and look at the NIST cybersecurity framework, right? NIST cybersecurity framework. So I call it NIST cybersecurity framework. I've written that on the chat box. So just spend time and look at that, right? So you can see it was people that are into non-technical cybersecurity that actually came up with a framework as that. And those of us that know SNCS, we have been using that framework for over years now, right? And almost every organization leverage on that framework. So with the knowledge of that alone, you can actually, start thinking and start knowing what we feel or think about cybersecurity, right? So I want to, draw the curtain here and my friend and colleague, Chukwemeka, so that he can go ahead and continue. Chukwemeka, confirm you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can hear you, Peter. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes,
please confirm that you can hear me too, Peter.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, Peter, for walking us through the how we can get to do all these things from the non-technical aspects of cybersecurity. When I speak to people, like you mentioned, everyone always feel, okay, cybersecurity is all about me coming into the class and trying to stop hackers or trying to do all manner of pen tests or vulnerability tests. But sometimes people do not understand that there are other aspects of cybersecurity that anyone can easily transition into without writing any single line of anything. You can, transition from just learning how to use tools or from just learning how to make use of the exact tool that exact space is using. So like you rightly mentioned, there are so many aspects of cybersecurity. Talk about the GRC. So personally, I transitioned, like when you mentioned civil engineering, I was just mad because my first degree was civil engineering before I had to do other things, right? So I, studied civil engineering. From civil engineering, moved into banking. From banking, did a couple of courses. From internal control, joined GRC, and then the rest has been history, right? So when I tell people that these things are possible to be done, I always say it with full assurance because it personally is something that I've transitioned through. I've been able to, go on this journey personally for myself So I always tell people that it is also possible for them to also do it. But how can you on your own go on this journey? What are the 6 things? What are the pillars of success for you to be able to say, okay, I want to embark on this journey? What exactly do I need to do? But before I move on, please let's ensure that we fill the attendance form that my colleague Lydia is dropping in the chat box. Okay. So the essence of this is to make sure that at the end of this session, you will get the recording of this exact session and also the slides that we are using. Okay. So that on your own, you can comfortably go through what we've discussed tonight and then can now make decisions from it. Okay. So please ensure to fill the attendance form that my colleague is dropping. All right. So moving on, like I mentioned, there are exactly 6 pillars of success if you want to transition to any tech area. So my assumption is that we all that are here, we've already decided that we want to pivot to cybersecurity. Okay, so you've already taken that first step of identifying your target role. You need to first of all identify your target role, and then that what that entails is you determining which exact tech role that interests you fully. Okay, so from everything Peter have said tonight, I don't know if there just with a show of what your own interest area is, just put it in the chat box so that I will be sure that people has been listening to Peter. So just put in the chat box the exact area that interests you when it comes to cybersecurity entirely, or if it's outside this exact domain of things that we've discussed, you can also put it in the chat box. Okay, so that I'll be sure that we've scratched where you personally want to be. Okay, I can see what Dimeji sent. Dimeji said GRC, that's Dimeji Show Madek. Fantastic. So Dimeji wants to transition through being a GRC expert. Fantastic. So guys, let's keep it coming so that I'll be sure that we've been listening to everything that Peter have said, or we're just here without taking notes of things that he has been talking to us about. It's only Dimeji that is on the call. Hi guys, are we all here? Grey Hat Hacker. That's from Da Vinci, Niger. Fantastic, Grey Hat Hacker. Hi Peter, we have people that wants to move to the red side. It's fantastic, right? So when we have sessions like this, it doesn't really, remove the people that want the technical aspect of things, right? It doesn't remove the people that want the technical aspect of things. It still includes them to a larger extent. Laurie is saying CISA. That's Certified Information System Analyst, Certified Information Systems Analyst. Okay, fantastic. You want to transition to being information system analyst. That's also amazing. So we're going to touch on how we can be able to, get started in all these areas that we have pinpointed. So my assumption is that 43 other guys on the call, they've not fully aligned to where exactly they want to be in when it comes to cybersecurity. Cloud security from Queen, fantastic. Now, these things happen, okay? It's just like a medical doctor that is trying to start his or her own journey. At that initial first year, second year, they may not be able to say, okay, I want to be a pediatrician, or I want to be a neurosurgeon, I want to be a this or that. At that initial first 4 years of their life, the courses that they will be doing will just be biochemistry, biology, chemistry, and so on and so forth. So definitely they will just be doing general courses. And that's where we are going to walk you through from, okay? So it will be like a course where you are going to have that general knowledge of what cybersecurity is all about that can easily help you streamline your own knowledge base to a particular area, okay? So like I've mentioned, the first step to making this journey is to identify your target role. And then the second pillar for success is about education, right? So when we talk about education, it doesn't really have to be going back to school to go and do information security engineering, or going back to school to go and do cybersecurity, this or that. So I was speaking to a friend that actually transitioned to data analytics, and what he did was he did a course in UK, right? And after, he had to come and take a course with us also, right? That's after spending tons of thousands of pounds to have a master's degree in data analysis. But after that exact master's program, he still couldn't perform what a minor person that passed through our program was able to perform. So I'm not trying to undermine some of those higher learnings. It's just that to a reasonable extent, when it comes to real practical education, these are things that you get from experience, all right? And that's the bridge that we are here to fill in, right? So our education is based on real life case study, okay? So if we're talking about things relating to cryptography, we are going to be working on real life case study, having your hands on using Kali Linux and working on all this and on how to do encryption, how to do hashing, right? These are not things that you get to learn from a higher educational learning, right? But they are things that you get practical. And that's what we talk about when we speak education. Okay. So, because one aspect of tech that people will not tell you is that for you to be hired, there will always be a skill assessment phase. Okay. So let's assume you passed the first stage. The next stage that you are going to come into is the skill assessment stage. So at that exact point, you are going to be evaluated on things that you can do. Okay. And the most fantastic thing is that even if you want to transition as a GRC expert and you have knowledge of what cryptography is, what caching is, that's what is going to make you to enact proper policies. Okay. But if you do not have knowledge of that, of what cryptography is all about, there's tendency that when you want to enact policy around cryptography for your exact company, you may not fully be able to do what is sufficient. Okay. So when we teach people in classes, we teach them with also real life case studies that will make them stand out. So number 3 pillar is about gaining practical experience. Like I've mentioned before, all our topics are taught using practical experience. So because we are also a consulting firm, what we do most times that when this consulting job comes to us, we sort of codify the data and also give to our students to work on, right? So what it translates to is that indirectly, we are working on a real life problem without knowing. So let's assume we have got maybe a consultancy job from one of the top banks. You can codify it and call it Lagos Bank Nigeria Limited, right? So this is you working on a fictitious name, but it is a real life problem that you are solving. And these are things that recruiters look out for when they try to hire people. Then number 4 is about developing employability skills, right? So like I always tell people, the first aspect of transitioning is about learning and about streamlining to that exact area you are in. But the other aspect, which means half of your transitioning journey, is about the employability skills that you personally have. Okay. I always tell people that your CV is like a walking signboard of you. For example, we have a job advert that said we need someone with knowledge of VMware, right? But during your own, you learn using a virtual box. There's no difference between all these things, right? So it's just different terminologies that they are being used. Okay. And in your CV, if you now write that you have knowledge of VirtualBox without matching it to fit the VMware knowledge that they are seeking, the ATS technically is going to sieve out your CV, right? So we also teach people how to job match their CV to fit the job they are trying to get into. All right, so that what is exactly on that job advert will also be sufficient in your own CV, that at the point that it's passed through the ATS, it will still come out as a sufficient CV. All right, so once we walk you through this, we'll now put you through how you can do applications severally. Because we've noticed that people struggle to land jobs because we've trivialized job applications, right? So these days can go to LinkedIn, you are seeing easy apply, easy apply, easy apply. I'm just clicking, easy apply, clicking, and all that, right? Technically, I've not looked at the job requirements for that exact role and matched it with what is on my CV and then applied. Applying to a job is a job on its own. This is what I always tell people. And if you don't bring out enough time to curate your CV to apply, then you are going to stay applying for a long time. So first thing first, match your CV to fit the job, and then you apply. And of course, also teach people on optimizing your LinkedIn profile, getting interview skill, and all that. I'll still get to that exact stage. And then the number 5 pillar is about networking. For example, the way we are close to 50 on this call, that is how you are going to be in class interacting with close to 50 people from all different countries, right? It can be in Nigeria, you're talking to somebody in Ghana, can be in Ghana, you're talking to somebody in South Africa, it can be in South Africa, you're talking to someone in UK, can be talking to someone in Germany, And this is the beauty of technology, right? Because it allows you to easily connect with people from different walks of life. And by that, your networking aspect has instantly grown. So something happened recently in one of our programs where one person got a job. And after getting that exact job, he kept getting other offers. So instead of him declining it, what he had to do is to push it to the other students that he learned with. So this is the power of also networking, online community. So you need to be active in some of these community, like the analytics community, for you to be able to get contemporaries in this your exact domain. That at the points that they have seen what they're looking for, that's also an opportunity for them to pass the next one coming to them to you. Because this is also what we teach our people on day-to-day basis. Of course, mentorship session. One aspect, one key important area with respect to transitioning to tech is mentorship session. Some of us, we struggled to transition because we never had mentors as far back as 2019. But we're just learning anything that comes out. MongoDB will learn, Power BI, Tableau. We didn't have any specific area of learning for us to go through because we never had a mentor. So what it will do is that it will make your own journey longer, right? Someone that has a mentor, I can easily comfortably tell them, okay, this is what you need to learn, this is what you need to learn, and apply. But someone that don't have a mentor, anything that appears on my YouTube relating to cybersecurity, I'm going to stuff my head with. And at that point, that's where we get what we call information overload. So this mentorship session will try to bring in experts to come into the classroom, past students that have also landed jobs to come to classroom and speak to you on how they were able to navigate their own journey. So what and what did they do that made their own journey very easy for them? So for our own cybersecurity course, it holds every Saturday and Sundays, right? Every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West African time. And what are the tools that you are going to be learning? You're going to be learning tools like I've mentioned, Wireshark, VMware, Metasploit, Zap, Bob Suite, and all these things, they are relevant for your own learning journey. So most of us have said, I want to transition as a GRC expert. I want to be information security analyst. I want to transition as cloud security, right? So what we've done is to make sure that everything that you learn in our program is enough for you to transition to any of this area. Okay, and that's starting you off with what we call foundations of computing. So what this means is that if before now you do not know what is CPU, what is mouse, what is RAM, what is ROM, you are going to be walked through this exact knowledge in the foundations of computing. Remember, like I mentioned, our courses are streamlined from basics. So it means that if you have zero knowledge of cybersecurity, we'll walk you through from that ground zero to the expert level. And why we are starting from that exact place, because there are people that you are going to meet in class that do not actually know what a RAM or what a ROM or what SSID is. So we'll walk you through that initial foundations of computing before we now move to foundations of networking, where we talk about IP and you get to learn what all those IPs are meant for. After this exact area, we'll now move to introduction to cybersecurity. So you've seen, we've laid the foundation for computing before we now entering into cybersecurity itself. It's just like you understanding the cyberspace before we start talking about cybersecurity. Okay, so after introduction to cybersecurity, get to learn information security principles. So for this exact area, you're looking at things that pertains to ISO 27001, which is information security, information security, and then NDPR, GDPR, as the case may be, from any area that you are joining us from. And of course, after you get to learn offensive and defensive cybersecurity. So in this area, you are going to be learning all these things using tools like Kali Linux for you to be able to learn, okay, how do I assess threats? Okay, because as a cybersecurity person, even if you're in the GRC domain, you need to understand how threats get into their threat environment. What is even a threat? Okay, what are threats and what attack vectors? You need to understand all these things for you to be able to enact policy. So that's why we walk everyone through all these modules. So after it, walk you through cryptography basics, where you get to learn how to what encryption is all about, what hashing is all about. if you want to send a message from maybe myself to my founders, how do I communicate? Is it in a cryptographic manner? Even if there is a man in the middle attack, the person is just going to get numbers. But when it gets to the exact destination of where it's meant to be, the person will see the actual message. How can this be done? These are things that we are going to walk you through in the classroom. Of course, walk you through cyber threat and attack vectors, network security, endpoint security, web and application security, and cloud security. I saw someone mention that he or she wants to also transition to be a cloud security person. So these are places where also touch on the exact place that you want to be. But remember, you need the other knowledge of the other area for you to have a full functionality in the exact place that you've chosen. Also walk you through incident response and forensics, after which we'll now walk through cybersecurity career and certification. So this is, guiding you on your next journey, how you can now, start applying to jobs, the certification that you may need if you want to keep going higher and higher and higher. But everything that we are going to put you through will be sufficient enough for you to land your first job. Remember, the role of the exact training is to make sure that you land a first job after training with us. And how do we do this? By making sure that each of these learning area, you are going to be learning with real life case studies and putting it in your own portfolio, that in the end, you can have enough portfolio to show as an evidence of experience you've had in this exact sector. So the program lasts for a period of 4 months, with you learning immersively in the class for 3 months, which means you are going to be learning for 3 months, Saturdays and Sundays, all these key learning areas that I have stipulated. After which you have an immersive internship with us, where you also get to work on other real life case studies. These are all virtual led classes. They are all virtual led. It means that we don't have any physical interaction. The way I am speaking to you is the way someone is going to also speak to you in their classroom. After which the classes are also recorded and uploaded to your Google Classroom, that at any point they have reasons to go to it, you can always watch the sessions back. Maybe you missed a class because you had work, you can always go to the Google Classroom and rewatch that exact video. So the average salary of a cybersecurity person is as high as £57,000 in UK, as high as $1,400 Canadian, and then as high as 105 US dollars. So it is possible for you to get all these things. But the journey for that exact earning starts with you getting the initial skills and experience. So why exactly should you train with us at Analytics? So over the last 4 years, right, we've been playing in the educational technology space, where we've helped more than 2,000 people to land their first job from the classroom. And this cuts across Europe, Africa, Asia, Canada, UK, US. And we have a track record for all these things. So what I always tell people is, you can go to our YouTube page and just type Analytics. And you're going to see the past testimonials that our students had to give us. Okay, and we also brand ourselves as having industry standard curriculum, right? So what this means is that the way you know that Peter is an experienced cybersecurity analyst in the exact space. So we bring people like him into class for them to tell us, okay, what's the trend in cybersecurity at the moment? What do we need to learn? And they help to build the curriculum that we teach students in the class. And what this means is that you have experience of the Fortune 500, because by virtue of learning from the experts in the space already, you are equipping yourself with what they all know. And then the number 3 reason why you should is because of what I've mentioned, the combination of both virtual led and recorded classes, right? So even if you have reason to miss a class, you can always go back to the video and rewatch it. Okay. So if you miss a class, you can always go back to the video and watch what happened in class. And maybe during classes, your network was not connecting properly, you can always go back and watch the video of what happened. Then number 4 is our tailored session to make sure that you land your first job. And how have we done this? It's because of all the employability services that we are also going to render to you. So I'm going to bring up this in a short while, and we approach this from a 3-layered approach, right? From a 3-layered approach. And number one, like I've mentioned, is the CV review session, where we teach you how to match your CV to the job that you are applying to. Number two is LinkedIn optimization. How can you optimize your LinkedIn for recruiters to see you and for your LinkedIn to be visible to recruiters? Number three is Upwork optimization. So because we also encourage our students to play in the contractual space, you can be in Nigeria and get a role in US, Canada, and UK, as the case may be, right? And then also teach you how to navigate the job market by bringing in premium experts into the classroom to tell you this is what is expected of you. This is what you need to do. And then the number five, job interview preparation. So how do you answer the question of tell me about yourself? How can you use the SIT approach or the STAR approach to answer these questions? So these are things that will walk you through. So what this means is that if you get a job, if you get a job interview rather, you can book an interview prep session with our expert in the house, which means you have renowned people prepare you for that interview you are going for. Okay. And then we also provide recommendation and reference letter to our students, because we always tell our students that you can comfortably say that you worked as a consultant with analytics. That means if you are seeking for other jobs, there is tendency that you'll be asked to provide reference from your past employer. So we are also available to make sure that we provide you with this exact recommendation and reference letter that you desire. So level two of this employability services is our weekly mentorship session. Right? So what it means is that we have sessions where we bring in mentors to talk to you on the trending topics in your exact domain. And of course, on the job support, that if you land a job, we are also available to help you 1 month into that your job to make sure that you find your fit. And where all this thing is leading to is our level three, which is basically our promise to you that 1 month after you are done training with us, you must get one job interview. And how do we do this? Is because we also have partnership with recruiters that after people are done with our own program, they are placed in pools, right? Where people can come in and ask for, okay, do you guys have an expert in cybersecurity? We are always here to recommend them. And also, we have the Body Mentorship Hub, where we bring in past students into the class to talk to you on how their journey was, how they were able to navigate all these things. Like I mentioned before, you can also work as a freelancer or fully remote as a cybersecurity expert and earn your cool cash, right? So we have sessions like this, which I've also attached the link for it. So please, like I've mentioned before, make sure that you fill the attendance form so they can have access to this slide and you can look at some of these links that we have embedded. So when you go through this, you understand how you can get remote jobs as a cybersecurity analyst. And these are things that will also get to walk you through in the classroom, how you can make use of LinkedIn, Upwork, Webfound, Indeed, Remote.co, Bullets in Glassdoor to land all these jobs that you desire. Now, coming to the financial aspect, right? So the cybersecurity program goes for 900,000 naira, 1,125 Canadian dollars, 730 euros, 725 pounds, $750. But because you are on this session, we have a discount for the first 20 people to join any of this, to join this exact program. And what it means is that instead of paying $750, you get to pay $600. Instead of paying £625, you get to pay £500. Instead of paying 730 euros, you are paying 580 euro. Instead of paying 1,125 Canadian dollar, you get to pay 900 Canadian dollar. And instead of you paying 900,000 naira, you get to pay 720,000 naira. And I also encourage people, because we know sometimes people we don't want to overstretch our students. We've also mapped out a 2 instrumental payment option. So what this means is that you can lock down this exact discounted price using the first payment method, right? So if you pay $400, you get to lock it down. Then 1 month into that program, which means you can pay to lock down your discount. Then by August 6th, you should be making the second instrumental payment, right? So what it means is that you pay $400, and then second payment comes in 1 month into the program. And then for pounds, you can pay 350 to secure your slot, and then 150 1 month after. Same thing for euros, 400 euros to get into the class, then 180 later on 1 month after the classes has begun. And the same thing with Canadian dollars, pay 600 Canadian dollars to lock down your slot, and then 300 later, 1 month into the program. For Naira, you also get to pay 500,000 Naira, and then 1 month into the program, you pay the remaining aspect. Now, someone is asking, can I make more instrumental option? I'm sure my colleague is going to drop the payment, our finance department link for you to, send an email to. So what we advise you to do, the recommended option is always the 2 instrumental system. But if you have a different, wider range, you can send an email to finance@analytics.org, and we are going to listen to what you want to discuss with us. So I want to bring up my screen to show us how we can make this payment, all right? So my colleague have dropped the link for this exact payment in the chat box, but how can you make use of it, right? How can you use the link to make payments? So once you click on that main stack link, it's going to bring you to our Analytics Enrollment Center, right? It will bring you to our Analytics Enrollment Center. So what are you going to do at this point? Okay, this is taking time to load. 1 second so I can switch the network to another one. So why this is coming up, someone is asking how long the training program is. So the training program lasts for 4 months. Remember, it lasts for 4 months where you learn immersively in the classroom for 3 months, and then use the other 1 month to have your internship journey with us. So 3 months immersive classroom learning, and then 1 month internship program with us. So if you've clicked on that link that my colleague dropped, it's going to bring you to our Analytics Enrollment Center. To bring you to our Analytics Enrollment Center. So what are you going to do at this stage? Okay, it's coming up right now. Fantastic. Okay. It's coming up. 1 second, please. All right. So what you're going to do is when you click on the link, it will take you to the page where you can make your payments. And what it means, okay, something is making this to take a lot of time. All right, I'll come back to this on how we can easily make this payment. Okay, it's coming up right now. It's coming up. All right. So once you land on the enrollment center page, you just scroll down to the place where you see the cybersecurity program. Okay, so scroll down to the cybersecurity program, and once you are there, click on it. So because the site is geotagged, it's technically going to pick the location of where you are trying to make your payments from. So it will pick the location of where you're trying to make payments from, and we'll pick the exact currency of that location. So remember, scroll down and look for the cybersecurity program. Simply click on it, cybersecurity. So I've scrolled down, I've seen cybersecurity, and this is cybersecurity. What I have to do is to simply click on the cybersecurity option there. Cybersecurity. I'll simply click on the cybersecurity. So when I click on it, it's going to bring me to the checkout page. So what will I do when I get to that exact checkout page? That is where I'll now put the amount I want to make. If I want to reserve my slot using the first payment option, or if I want to make full payments, I'll simply do that here. All right, so it's coming up. What I will do at this stage is simply to put in the amount I want to put my account number, not my account number, put my name, my phone number, the country I'm joining from, and click on reserve my slot. And click on reserve my slot. And once you do this, it's going to reserve the slot for you. And then you get to the checkout option where you simply, impute make payment with card, or you copy the account number that is going to come out for you under the transfer section, go back to your bank account and make manual transfer, right? So like I mentioned, it's going to come up for you, and what you have to do is simply put in, click on the reserve a seat option. Once I click on this reserve a seat, like I mentioned, it will bring out the checkout option for me. And what I have to do is simply to put my name. So I put my name, put my email address, select the country I'm joining from. Presently, I am in Nigeria. So I'm going to select Nigeria, put any number there, and then proceed. Right, so once I click on proceed, it's going to bring up the checkout page for me. So at that instance, what I have to do is either I pay with my card or I go to the transfer section. So either I put my card details here and click on pay, automatically it's going to make payments, or I go to the transfer section and I simply copy this account number and make payments in my bank account. Okay, copy the account number, go to my bank account and make the payments. So once I'm done with this, next thing I have to do is to go back to that same enrollment center. So go back to that enrollment center and you'll see the link for you to drop your receipts. So at that point, what you have to do, click on the upload receipt segment. Once you click on it, you simply fill in your details and upload the receipt of your payments. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Using the main Stack link, you can easily start your payment procedure and end it, and of course, get your invite link into the classes. So at this point, I don't know if there are any questions from anyone before I move on. So if you have any question, you can type it in the chat box and I'm going to take it, or you can use the raise hand icon and I will ask you to unmute to speak. Okay, you can use raise hand icon, I'll ask you to unmute, or you can type it in the chat box and we are going to pick it up from there. How many classes per week is the class from Danny? So the classes, we have classes twice a week, only on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays by 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and on Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. West African time. Okay, so we have classes twice a week, Saturdays and Sundays. What we now do is that the other sessions like CV review, mentorship session, employability services comes within the week, and it's just a 1 hour within the week, or a drop-in session where you also come in to discuss on what you had over the weekend, right? So what it means is that you will be having possibly around 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. like this, just coming to class and we discuss on some of these things. But the exact classes holds only on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and on Sundays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. How long does the classes last and how many times in a week will they be held? Okay, like I mentioned, the classes last for 4 months. You learn massively in the classroom for 3 months, and then you also get to work on other real life case studies, which we are going to give you for your internship stage. All right, there you get to build so many things. Use what's it called? Packet tracer to set up maybe internet for your 10 employees in a new company. You are going to use all these things to have all those real life technical experience. Okay, is it possible to spread the payment? So I've mentioned if you desire for this exact payment style, you've dropped the email for you to send to finance@tenalytics.org. Okay, so if you have any question also, you can use the raise hand icon and I will ask you to unmute. Okay, so if you look at the your home screen, you can see the place for reactions where you can comfortably raise a hand through. So just click on the raise a hand button and it will signify me that you want to speak to us, and I will ask you to unmute and talk to us. Okay, while we are waiting for people to ask questions or to drop their question in the chat box, we also have other things. Like I mentioned, the discount is only available for the first 20 people to join these classes. Remember, when we started this call, we were around 40 something, 50. And what happens most times after some of these calls is that people get to fill up all these slots. So that's why I always tell us you can use the first instrumental payment option to lock down this exact discounted pricing, right? Lock down the exact discounted pricing, and then 1 month into the program, you can now make the other one. Okay, Dimeji has a question. My question is, after the whole program internship, how often and how easy for all students to get in contact with our mentors, and how helpful is it going to be for us? Because after landing a job with training, we will still need guidelines to our new job work. We are new to the job and we need mentorship, especially at the beginning of the career. I want to know how easy it can be to get feedback from our mentors when we have difficulties in our new job. Fantastic question, Dimeji. Fantastic question. So what I always tell people in instances like this, I want to use the university model while we were in school, right? So for me, right now, I can still comfortably reach out to my HOD that I left school more than 10 years ago, right? But I can still comfortably reach out to him because we used to converse. I was a good student in class. I used to come to class. I used to do everything that I was asked to do. So on this instance, because we always have attendance record, right? We have all this record. Okay, we had classes Saturdays and Sundays. Did you come to class? Did you learn things that you are supposed to learn? Or do you watch the videos that I've asked you to watch because there is tendency that you might be working? If you've done everything that you are expected to have done and you have questions, we are always available for you. And the beauty is that the mentors are always available because we have students that have passed out from our classes, and at that stage in their career, they need to build a corporate profile that is going to position them as a voice in cybersecurity, as a voice in this area. So we also provide them a platform where they can have mentees, because these are things that is going to make you be a voice in the ecosystem. Oh, I was able to help 10 mentees in analytics to navigate their entry level into so and so jobs. At that exact point in their career, it's no more about the technicalities of how do I use Wireshark, how do I use Kali Linux. To them, it's now about building that corporate profile. So we also make sure that they have that direct link to our students so that they can mentor them. And then our student has a direct link to them so that they can serve as mentors. So you have that access to them. You can also have their WhatsApp, LinkedIn, connect to them in all these places so that once that time comes, you can easily be accessible to them also. So Dimeji, you honestly do not have anything to be worried about. Okay. All right. So if others have questions, remember, you are free to type it in the chat box like Dimeji did, or you can click on the reaction sign and then click on the raise hand icon. And I am going to ask you to speak to us. Okay, fantastic. So moving on, remember this discount is not for everyone. So what happened is, for example, last 2 months, all this course, it sold for 450,000, right? And then people said, okay, I'm going to join next month. And then next month came and the cost have increased to 600. Oh, no, it's too much. I'm going to join the upper month. And then that upper month came, it is 720 now. So I always advise people to take advantage of the pricing at any point that they meet it. Because what I've noticed is that the best time to get into tech is right now. It's just like you want to buy an asset and you live in Nigeria at the moment. We all know that the best time to buy any asset is right now because tomorrow it might move without your own consent. So that's what is also happening. I always advise people take advantage of the discounts at the points that you meet it so that later you can now, enter into the classroom and learn smoothly. If you do not have the full amount, remember, we've broken it down for you to reserve this slot. So it's like doing a futures trade. If you trade derivative in the capital market, it's just like you are locking down a price at a future time. For example, I'm putting that, okay, once this exact pricing gets to this point, buy it off or sell it off at that exact point. That's what we are doing now. We are buying this at this exact discount, and you have the option to defer for 1 month. So even if you do not want to start your program by July, you can make payments and lock it down. And when you are submitting your receipt, there's an option for you to fill in when you want to start your program. You can choose that you want to start in August because we start a new cohort every first Saturday of every month. Okay, every first Saturday of every month. I would like to start the August program. Do I still qualify for a discount now, Laurie? Fantastic question, Laurie. your receipts. You have the option to choose when you want to start your program. Instead of selecting July, you will select August, right? So we allow our students to defer for a period of 1 month, which means you can make payments now and get into class. Instead of July, you're getting into class in August, right? So, Laurie, that is 100% possible. Okay, remember this discount is not for everyone. So, moving on, like I've said, our next cohort is starting on July 6th, and I always advise people to take advantage of this whenever it comes. So, this always seems impossible until it is done. So we have a couple of success stories from our past students that have been able to transition. Right, someone like Ini Akpabio, Ini came to our program to study data science, right? So he had a data science program with us, and he's someone that has 10 years experience already. So when he was giving his success story, which is this long sentence you're seeing on my screen, what he said is that what stood out for him is that he had the experience, but he was not able to articulate everything that he needed to put. So our CV session, our mentorship session, our interview prep session, that's what stood out for Ini. So Ini got an interview invite for a managerial role, but on getting to that managerial position, because we have helped him, teach him how to structure his CV, helped him prep for that exact interview. Instead of giving Ini Akpabio the managerial position he came for, he was asked if he can perform as the CEO of that company. So if you read the first line of what he said, he just said, "Hello, mates. I'm happy to announce that I'm now the CEO of Growth Stack." Right? This is someone that before now, he was not able to put together his CV. And what he said is that after that application that he made, the interview invite he got within that space of time, he's not gotten it for the past 10 years in his career. So these are things that we keep telling people that sometimes to you, what may be profitable to you from the entire program might be the CV session, it might be the interview prep session, it might be the skill and competence level session. Because the way you might be a beginner coming into the program, there are people that are intermediate level, there are people that are experts that just wants to broaden their own horizon. So people come to the program for diverse reasons, but it's only you that can pick what you want to pick from it. So I'm going to play one success story from one of our past students before we start rounding off. So I'm going to play one success story from one of our past students before we start rounding up. Okay, so let me play this one right here so that we get to hear what our past students had to say about us. Okay, so that we get to hear what our past students had to say about us. So my screen is coming up right now for us to hear what Ikmat had to say about her own program. So while we're waiting for it to come up, I think Dimeji has a question. Also, do we have assistance with building our CV, work experience, and getting referrals to land a new job? Fantastic. So Dimeji, you have assistance with building your CV. You have CV review sessions where we teach our students
how to get the most of Grammarly free. It's Kayla on behalf of Grammarly to
like I mentioned,
tell you all about the free version of the best communication assistant in the world.
We have sessions where you learn how to build your CV. Why does this keep coming up? Remember, like I mentioned, one thing about CV review is that you cannot use one exact CV to apply to multiple roles. All right, so it might be cumbersome for you to come back to us at any point that you want to make any application, right? So what we do is that we teach our students how to apply to these jobs themselves, how to build their CV so that you can easily modify your CV at any point in time. We are going to provide you with templates of the CV that we want yours to look like. We are going to teach you on the things to do. For example, you are a lawyer and you're trying to transition to cybersecurity. We're also going to tell you how you can bring your initial experience from law into your own space as a cybersecurity expert, right? So we are going to walk you through all these things that because you have all those transferable skills, you get to still play a role in this.
Get your domain today at GoDaddy.
Let's hear what
Ready to take your idea online?
Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat and I was with the March cohort in Analytics, and joining Analytics has been best decisions so far. You know, for me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, you know, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Analytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, you know, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. You know, in Analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, you know, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You know, you have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because he was like, he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked. And I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he mentioned, they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, you know, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely, you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student, and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have Analytics to go back to. They are the best, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable. The most affordable one I've come across so far. And that's a very good advantage. So yes, Analytics for the win.
Fantastic. So like I always say, because Ikmat likes to refer herself as she transitioned from being a full-time housewife to landing 2 tech jobs. And how did this happen? So 1 month into her program, she got a job, but she was not able to take it because of working hours limitations in UK. But after she finished her program, she got 2 extra jobs that offered visa sponsorship. She now had to, sit down, look at both offers, and chose the one that fits perfectly to her own personal goals. So this is what I always tell people. These things always seem impossible, but it is possible. So just go to our YouTube channel. You are going to see several hundreds of success stories from our past students. Please make sure that you fill the attendance form so that you will get access to this slide, so they can also watch the other recordings, other success stories of other people in this exact class. So you see people that are also in Nigeria, but they were able to also get job in US, right? So there are multiple testimonials from people. All these things always seem impossible until it is done. All right, I don't know if we have any other person that still have question at this point, because we are already rounding off for the day. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box and we are going to pick it up from there. Or you can use the raise hand icon and I will call you up to speak. So you can see all the success stories, the testimonials that I am scanning through for you to be able to see. So Abdurrashid is currently in Nigeria. and he got a job as a data scientist with Chat 420 after he completed one of our data science programs. So we have people like him down in Nigeria, and they all got this job in the external and diaspora. So like I've mentioned, we've helped over 2,000 people transition from the classroom into landing their first job across UK, US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and of course, Africa. What are you still waiting for? Remember, tomorrow may be too late. Today is the best time. Right? Before we call it a day, do we have anyone with any question that they want to ask us at the moment? Any question from anyone? Any question at all, can use the raise hand icon and I'll ask you to speak, or you can drop the question in the chat box and we are going to pick it up from there. Any question? All right, I think I'm not getting feedback anymore. But before we call it a day, remember, use this exact time to fill the attendance form. Make sure that you fill the attendance form so they can get the recording and also be able to get the slide that we are using for this session. Okay, make sure that you fill. Please, what is the YouTube name? All right, so our YouTube name is Tenalytics, all right? So just type in Tenalytics and you are going to get all the video that you require, all right? So just type in Tenalytics Danny and you are going to get it, 10 analytics, and you are going to see all the other success stories that our past students had to say about us. Thank you guys for staying to this very moment with us. So these the places our past students, some of them work, have people that work with NHS. Actually, NHS is our highest employer of analytics students in UK. All right, because they also offer visa sponsorship. You have people that work with Uber, people that work with Western Union, with Amazon. Of course, here in Africa, in Nigeria, have people that work with Glow, have people that work with Zenith Bank, have people that work with MRS, and so on and so forth. So what are you still waiting for to get into this exact tech space? Remember, tomorrow might be too late. Today is the best time to get into tech. Thank you guys once more for being with us. You can reach out to us on with our email on our website, analytics.io, or send email to enquiries@analytics.io, or also to our own phone numbers. Remember, the best time to get into tech is right now. Cheers, guys, and I can't wait to see you all come July 6th into the classroom. Thank you so much, and bye for now. Bye, guys.